My wife came home late from one night stand. When I turned on the light, she stumbled back in shock. But her disheveled clothes and the unfamiliar cologne weren't even the worst part. It was the message on her phone. Destroy everything. They know about the files. What started as a simple case of infidelity quickly spiraled into a nightmare. They say trust is like glass. Once broken, you can never put it back together the same way. Maybe if Vanessa and I had worked on our communication earlier, things wouldn't have spiraled so far out of control. Maybe we could have avoided the secrets, the lies, and the danger that followed. My name is Michael Harrington. I'm 49 years old. And until 6 months ago, I thought I had a perfect life. 15 years of marriage to a brilliant woman, a beautiful home in the Boston suburbs, and a rewarding career as a biotech engineer at Helix Innovations. Vanessa and I met at a pharmaceutical conference when we were both climbing our respective corporate ladders. She was sharp, ambitious, and could light up any room she walked into. We were the power couple that others envied. That night in September changed everything. Vanessa had been going out more frequently with her research team, saying they needed to blow off steam from their high-pressure project. I never questioned it. Her work as head of research at Meridian Pharmaceuticals often demanded long hours and intense collaboration. But when the clock struck midnight and she still wasn't home, a knot formed in my stomach that wouldn't go away. The front door finally creaked open at 1:30 a.m. I was sitting in the dark of our living room, nursing a whiskey I barely touched. Vanessa stumbled in, her usually perfect hair disheveled, clothes wrinkled in ways that spoke volumes. The scent hit me first, unfamiliar cologne mingled with alcohol. "You're still up," she slurred, trying to sound casual, but missing by a mile. I stayed seated, taking in the details that would haunt me for weeks. The slight smudge of her lipstick, a small tear in her blouse, and something I couldn't ignore, a faint stain on her skirt that made my blood run cold. "Rough night?" I asked, keeping my voice steady despite the earthquake happening inside me. She avoided my eyes, dropping her purse and kicking off her heels. "Just drinks that went too long. I'm sorry I didn't call." I helped her to bed, mechanically going through the motions while my mind raced. As she dozed off, she mumbled something that stabbed me in the chest. It didn't mean anything, just a mistake. Instead of confronting her then, I did something I'd never done before. I took photos documenting her state and the evidence. Something told me I need proof later. Then I checked her phone while she slept. That's when I found the message that turned my suspicion into something far worse. They know about the files. Destroy everything. It wasn't just an affair I was dealing with. This was something else entirely. I barely slept that night, watching the sunrise with burning eyes and a hollow feeling in my chest. By morning, I knew two things with absolute certainty. My wife had been unfaithful, and somehow, she was mixed up in something dangerous that went beyond a simple betrayal of our marriage vows. When Vanessa woke up groaning and holding her head, I was waiting in the kitchen with the photos laid out on the table and a question that would open Pandora's box. Who is Daniel Reynolds, and what files is he talking about? Her face, already pale from the hangover, turned ghost white. Vanessa's hand trembled as she reached for the photos on the kitchen table. Her eyes, still bloodshot from last night, widened as she looked at the evidence of her disheveled state. "It's not what you think," she started, the oldest line in the cheater's handbook. "Really? Because what I think is that you slept with someone named Daniel Reynolds, and it has something to do with files you shouldn't have." I kept my voice steady, though my insides felt like shattered glass. "How do you know that name?" She went from defensive to alarmed in an instant. "Your phone," I said simply. "You got a message about destroying files. What exactly are you mixed up in, Vanessa?" She closed her eyes, seemingly calculating her next move. When she opened them, I saw something I'd never seen in my wife before. Fear. "I made a mistake," she admitted. "Daniel is a security consultant hired by Thorne Biomedical. It got close over the past few weeks. Last night things went too far. And the files." I pressed. "It's just corporate rivalry stuff. Nothing serious," she said, but her eyes darted away, a tell she'd had since we first met. I pulled out my laptop and typed Daniel Reynolds Security Consultant into the search bar. His LinkedIn profile appeared immediately, handsome, polished, and employed not by Thorne Biomedical as she'd claimed, but by Sentinel Corporate Security, a company known for facilitating corporate espionage. Want to try again? He doesn't work for Thorne. Vanessa's face hardened. Fine. I took some research files from Meridian to leverage a better position at Thorne. Daniel was helping me. It's not illegal, just aggressive career management. And sleeping with him. Was that also career management? The words came out more bitter than I intended. That was a stupid mistake. I was drunk and feeling reckless, she said, tears forming. I love you, Michael. This wasn't about us. I wanted to believe her, but 15 years of marriage had taught me when Vanessa wasn't telling the whole truth. I excused myself to the bathroom, my mind racing. I needed to find out more about Daniel Reynolds. Using skills I'd picked up from our IT department, I accessed our home network logs. Vanessa had been sending large encrypted files to an unfamiliar email address for weeks. I memorized the address, d.reynolds@sentinelsec.com. That afternoon, while Vanessa showered, I did something I'd never imagined doing. I copied the contents of her personal laptop onto an external drive. If she was in trouble, I needed to know exactly what kind. Why found turned my stomach. Hidden in a folder labeled Grocery Lists were photographs of internal Meridian documents. Not just research data, but something labeled Project Lazarus, human trial results. The timestamps showed the folder had been accessed multiple times over the past month. I was so absorbed in my discovery that I didn't hear Vanessa enter the home office. Only when her shadow fell across the screen did I look up to find her standing in the doorway, her face a mixture of rage and terror. What the hell do you think you're doing? She asked, her voice deadly quiet. Finding out why my wife is stealing human trial data. I answered. What is Project Lazarus, Vanessa? And what have you gotten yourself into? Instead of answering, she locked the door behind her. You had no right, Vanessa hissed, her voice low but intense. And you had no right to bring whatever corporate espionage you're involved in into our home. I countered, standing my ground. What is Project Lazarus? She paced the small office, her fingers running nervously through her hair. It's classified. I could go to prison just for saying the name. You should have thought about that before stealing the data, I said. Does Daniel have these files too? Something flashed in her eyes. Fear or calculation. I couldn't tell. Michael, please. You need to delete that drive and forget what you saw. For both our sakes. Not happening, I said, pocketing the drive. Not until I know what kind of mess you dragged us into. After a tense standoff, Vanessa cracked. Fine. Project Lazarus is a regenerative therapy using modified stem cells. It can repair damaged tissue, even neural pathways, almost instantly. That sounds revolutionary. Not dangerous, I said, confused. It would be, except for the side effects. Some test subjects developed aggressive cancers. Others experienced personality changes, violent episodes. She collapsed into a chair. Meridian wants to push it through FDA approval anyway. The military contracts alone would be worth billions. My biotech background kicked in. That's insane. They can't hide human trial complications. They already are. 3 subjects are dead, their families paid off. I couldn't be part of it anymore. So you stole the evidence. I pieced it together. But why take it to Thorne? Why not the FDA or a journalist? Vanessa looked away. Daniel convinced me Thorne would protect me and use the data ethically. And you believed him? A corporate spy. I thought I was doing the right thing, she whispered. I wasn't buying it. You risked everything. Your career, our marriage, possibly your freedom. Because this guy promised protection? The pieces weren't fitting. I needed to know more about Daniel Reynolds. I'm going out, I declared, grabbing my jacket. Where? Panic edged her voice. To clear my head. Instead, I drove to a coffee shop with secure Wi-Fi and began digging into Daniel Reynolds. Social media showed him leading an expensive lifestyle, designer suits, exotic vacations, a Ferrari, well beyond a security consultant salary. In one photo, he stood beside a striking blonde woman tagged as Rachel Reynolds. I looked up Rachel and found she worked in cybersecurity for Sentinel too. The golden couple of corporate espionage. My next stop was Daniel's address, a luxury condo building downtown. I sat in my car across the street, not sure what I was waiting for until I saw him exit around 7 p.m., impeccably dressed, confident stride, exactly the type to turn Vanessa's head. I followed at a safe distance as he drove to an upscale restaurant. Through the window, I watched him meet a woman. Not Vanessa, but not his wife either. a middle-aged Asian woman in a power suit. They exchanged what looked like thumb drives under the table. As I snapped photos with my phone, a tap on my car window nearly gave me a heart attack. A woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense expression motioned for me to roll down the window. "Michael Harrington?" she asked. "We need to talk about your wife's data theft and why Daniel Reynolds is selling those files to Helix Innovations, not Thorne Biomedical." "Who are you?" I demanded. "Someone who knows the real purpose of Project Lazarus," she replied. "And believe me, it's not about healing people." The woman slid into my passenger seat, uninvited, cool as a cucumber despite the tension hanging in the air. "Name's Elaine Winters, Pharmaceutical Regulatory Authority," she said, flashing a badge too quickly for me to verify. "I've been tracking Project Lazarus for 6 months. If you're really with the PRA, why the cloak and dagger routine?" I asked, keeping one eye on Daniel in the restaurant. She smirked. "Because half my superiors are in Meridian's pocket. This investigation is off the books." My bullshit detector was going haywire, but she knew details that checked out. "Your wife's been played," Elaine continued. "Daniel Reynolds isn't just stealing data for Thorne. He's selling to multiple bidders, including Chinese biotech firms. He's making a killing while setting Vanessa up as the fall guy." "And why should I trust you?" I asked. "You shouldn't trust anyone right now," she replied. "But I can prove what I'm saying." She passed me a flash drive. "This contains Daniel's communications with various buyers. Your wife's name is all over the paperwork as the source." "Jesus," I muttered. If this was true, Vanessa was neck-deep in international corporate espionage. "There's more," Elaine said. "The woman he's meeting? Dr. Lin from Helix Innovations. They're not just after the regenerative therapy. Project Lazarus has military applications that would make your hair curl." "Like what?" "Like creating soldiers who can heal from nearly any wound within minutes. Imagine an army that can't be stopped by conventional weapons." The pieces clicked together. The secrecy, the military files, the dead test subjects. This was way bigger than corporate rivalry. "What's your stake in this?" I asked. "Let's just say I've seen what happens when this technology falls into the wrong hands." She handed me a burner phone. "Call me when you're ready to help stop this thing. Right now, I suggest you talk to Rachel Reynolds." "Daniel's wife? Why would she help?" "Because she's been tracking her husband's activities for months. She suspects he's into something dangerous, but doesn't know what. She might be willing to swap information." After Elaine left, I drove to an upscale coffee shop in the financial district where, according to social media, Rachel Reynolds took her afternoon break. I spotted her easily. Poised, expensive blonde highlights, designer business suit. She exuded confidence until I sat down across from her. "Michael Harrington." I introduced myself. "I believe our spouses have been getting to know each other." Her perfectly manicured hand froze halfway to her cup. "Excuse me." I showed her the photos of Vanessa's disheveled state and the messages from Daniel. Rachel's face hardened. "So you're here to what? Compare notes on our cheating spouses?" "I'm here because your husband is framing my wife for international corporate espionage, and I'd rather not see her in federal prison while he walks away with millions." Rachel studied me, then glanced around the cafe. "Not here," she whispered. I suspected Daniel was into something shady, but I had no idea it went this far. "Meet me at Marshall Park in an hour. I have information you need to see." I left, unaware that I was being followed until a black SUV tried to run me off the road 3 blocks later. The SUV slammed into my rear bumper, sending my car fishtailing across the lane. I white-knuckled the steering wheel, barely keeping control as I swerved through traffic. "Son of a bitch," I muttered, catching a glimpse of 2 men in dark suits behind the tinted windshield. Whoever they weren't just trying to scare me. This was a hit. I gunned the engine, weaving through cars while dialing Vanessa with my free hand. No answer. Typical. The one time I needed her to pick up, she was MIA. The SUV rammed me again, harder this time. My car spun, sideswiping a parked delivery truck before screeching to a halt. The airbag exploded in my face, leaving me dazed but conscious enough to see the men approaching with guns drawn. In that moment, survival instinct kicked in. I scrambled out the passenger door, just as the first bullet shattered my windshield. I sprinted down an alley, zigzagging between dumpsters as more shots rang out. By some miracle, I lost them in the maze of downtown streets. Ducking into a crowded department store, I bought a baseball cap and sunglasses with the cash in my wallet, then slipped into a bathroom to check my injuries. Nothing serious, cuts and bruises, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The burner phone Elaine gave me buzzed with a text. Reynolds men after you. Don't go home. Meet at safe house. Address follows. I hesitated. For all I knew, this could be another trap. But with armed men hunting me, my options were limited. I took 3 different cabs to reach the address, a nondescript apartment building in a working-class neighborhood. Elaine buzzed me in, gun visible at her hip. You look like you've been put through the ringer, she said, handing me a towel for the blood on my face. Who were those guys? Meridian Security. Worse. Private contractors hired by Daniel Reynolds. He knows you've been asking questions. My phone rang. Vanessa. I answered on speaker. Michael, thank God. Where are you? Men broke into the house looking for you. Her voice was panicked, genuine fear cutting through any deception. Are you safe? I asked. I'm hiding at Karen's place. She named her college friend. Michael, they tore up your office, took your laptop. What's happening? I looked at Elaine, who nodded slowly. Vanessa, listen carefully. The men who came are working for Daniel. He's setting you up to take the fall for stealing those files. What? No, that's not. Cut the crap. I snapped. I've seen the evidence. International buyers, military applications. This isn't about whistleblowing. It's about selling to the highest bidder. Silence, then a shaky breath. Michael, I swear I didn't know. Daniel said Thorne would expose Meridian's cover-up. While he sold copies to everyone else, Elaine cut in. Ms. Harrington, I'm with the PRA. Your husband is right. You're the designated scapegoat if this goes south. Another silence. Oh God, we need the complete Project Lazarus files, Elaine continued. And we need you to testify about Meridian's falsified trials. I can't, Vanessa whispered. They'll kill me. They're already trying to kill both of us, I said. But we've got one card to play. Rachel Reynolds contacted me. She's got dirt on Daniel's operation. You can't trust her. Vanessa's voice rose. She's as deep in this as he is. Elaine and I exchanged looks. How do you know that? I asked. Because. Vanessa hesitated. Because she approached me months ago. She's the one who suggested I take the files in the first place. The revelation hit me like a sucker punch. This whole thing stank to high heaven, and I couldn't tell who was playing who anymore. Stay where you are, I told Vanessa. I'm coming to get you. We'll figure this out together. After hanging up, Elaine grabbed my arm. You can't trust your wife. She's in too deep. Maybe, I acknowledged. But she's the devil I know. And right now, that counts for something. This is nuts, I muttered as Elaine handed me a bulletproof vest. 2 days ago, my biggest problem was my cheating wife. Now I'm dodging hitmen. Welcome to the big leagues, she replied, checking her sidearm. Corporate espionage makes the mob look like amateurs. We took her nondescript sedan to Karen's apartment in Cambridge. I couldn't shake the feeling we were walking into a trap, but what choice did I have? Vanessa might be lying to me, but she was still my wife of 15 years. Karen's apartment was dark when we arrived. Bad sign. I texted Vanessa while we waited in the car. Something's off, I told Elaine. Karen's always home on Wednesdays. My phone buzzed with Vanessa's reply. Doors unlocked. Come up. Every instinct screamed danger. She never leaves doors unlocked. Elaine drew her gun. Back in trance. We circled around to the service entrance, where I used the key Karen had given us years ago for plant watering duties. The hallway was silent as we crept toward her unit. I froze at a faint sound from inside. A muffled sob. Elaine positioned herself beside the door, nodding for me to knock. Vanessa. I called. Michael, help. Her panicked voice was unmistakable. I burst in to find Vanessa duct taped to a chair, face bruised, Karen unconscious on the floor nearby. Before I could reach her, the closet door flew open and Daniel Reynolds emerged, gun aimed at my chest. Right on time, he said smoothly. Your wife said you play the hero. You son of a... Language, he smirked. Now, where are the files you took from Vanessa's computer? So that's what this was about. The backup I'd made had evidence that could sink both Meridian and Daniel's side operation. In my car, I lied. Michael, don't. Vanessa started before Daniel backhanded her. That flipped my switch. I lunged at him, gambling that he wouldn't shoot in close quarters. We crashed into the coffee table, his gun skittering across the floor. Despite his younger, fitter appearance, I had 40 pounds on him and rage on my side. I landed a solid right hook that snapped his head back. But Daniel fought dirty. He jabbed his thumb into my eye, then kneed me in the groin. As I doubled over, he scrambled for his gun. A shot rang out, but it was Elaine in the doorway, her bullet catching Daniel in the shoulder. He howled, clutching the wound. "Federal agent. Drop your weapon," she commanded. Instead, he pivoted and fired wildly. Elaine ducked as the bullet shattered a vase behind her. I tackled Daniel from behind, slamming his gun hand against the hardwood until he released the weapon. While I restrained him, Elaine freed Vanessa, who immediately rushed to Karen. "She's alive," Vanessa confirmed, relief evident. He drugged her drink when she opened the door. "Call 911, Elaine instructed, training her gun on Daniel while I zip-tied his hands with a cable from the TV. "You're making a huge mistake," Daniel snarled. "You have no idea who you're messing with. Save it for your arraignment." Elaine snapped. But as sirens approached, Vanessa pulled me aside. "Michael, there's something I need to tell you," she whispered, eyes darting to Elaine. "She's not who she says she is." "What?" I recognized her from a security briefing at Meridian. "She doesn't work for the government. She's private intelligence, probably working for Thorne or another competitor." I stared at my wife, unable to tell if this was another lie or a genuine warning. "And why should I believe you now?" "Because despite everything, I never wanted you hurt," she said, eyes welling. "Daniel was using me. I see that now. But so is she." Before I could respond, police flooded the apartment. In the chaos, I noticed Elaine slip something from Daniel's pocket, a flash drive, before identifying herself to the officers with credentials that got immediate respect. As paramedics tended to Karen and took Daniel away in handcuffs, I couldn't shake Vanessa's warning. In this game of corporate espionage, it seemed everyone was playing an angle, and I was still not sure which side my wife was really on. The police station buzzed with activity as I gave my statement for the third time. Detective Rodriguez seemed skeptical of our home invasion story, but Elaine's fake security consulting credentials somehow checked out. "So this Reynolds guy broke in for personal divorce files?" Rodriguez asked, eyebrow raised. "Afraid so." "Things got ugly," I replied, sticking to our cover story. After they finally cut us loose, Elaine drove us to a seedy motel on the outskirts of town. She swept for bugs before getting down to business. "Your wife told you I'm not PRA," she stated. Not a question. "Said you're private intelligence." "That true?" "Half right." She pulled out the flash drive she'd lifted from Daniel. "I work with certain interests concerned about Project Lazarus reaching military applications." The drive contained spreadsheets of Daniel's sales to multiple buyers, all with Vanessa's digital signature. But in a hidden folder, I found emails between Daniel and Rachel Reynolds discussing how they'd manipulated Vanessa. "Your wife was a convenient patsy," Elaine explained. "Brilliant enough to access the data, naive enough to believe she was doing the right thing. And you? What's your angle here?" Elaine's eyes hardened. "Let's just say I've seen firsthand what happens when regenerative tech goes military. My brother was an early test subject. He's technically still alive, but what's left of him wishes he wasn't." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Rachel Reynolds taken. They're coming for you next. Southwest Cargo Facility, midnight, if you want answers. Come alone." "Trap?" I asked, showing Elaine. "Obviously, but also our best lead." "I should check on Vanessa first," I said. At the hospital, I found 2 officers down outside her room and Vanessa gone. Security footage showed Rachel, supposedly captive herself, coolly walking Vanessa out at gunpoint. "They played us," Elaine said grimly. "Not just us," I realized, remembering something from Daniel's files. "The buyers, too. What if Project Lazarus isn't what anyone thinks? What if the real breakthrough is something else entirely?" The Southwest Cargo Facility loomed against the night sky, its security lights casting long shadows across the empty parking lot. Despite Elaine's objections, I'd insisted on coming alone as instructed. "If this goes sideways, I'll be the fall guy, not you," I told her, leaving her watching from a half-mile away with a sniper rifle she'd somehow produced from her extensive collection of work tools. Armed with only a concealed recording device and Elaine's backup pistol, I approached the rusted side entrance. The door creaked open before I could knock. "You actually came alone. Gutsy or stupid? Not sure which," Rachel Reynolds said, gesturing me inside with her gun. "Where's my wife?" I demanded. "Safe. For now." Rachel led me through a maze of shipping containers to a makeshift office. Inside, Vanessa sat handcuffed to a chair, looking exhausted but unharmed. "Michael," she tried to stand but couldn't. "It's a setup. Quiet." Rachel cut her off, then turned to me. "Here's the deal, Harrington. I need the original Project Lazarus files, not the redacted versions Daniel sold to our buyers." "Why would I have those?" Rachel smiled coldly. "Because your wife sent them to you before we grabbed her. Check your secure email." I pulled out my phone. Sure enough, buried in my spam folder was an email from Vanessa with a large encrypted attachment. The timestamp showed it had been sent from the hospital while I was giving my statement. "What's so special about these files?" I asked, stalling. "Daniel already sold the research. He sold what we wanted buyers to see," Rachel explained. "The real breakthrough isn't regenerative tissue. It's the delivery mechanism. Nanoparticles that cross the blood-brain barrier. Military applications beyond imagination." "You're insane." Rachel laughed. "No, I'm a businesswoman, and those files are worth billions on the international market." I glanced at Vanessa, who gave me an almost imperceptible nod. "The files are encrypted," I said. "I'll need Vanessa to unlock them." Rachel considered this, then uncuffed one of Vanessa's hands. "Try anything, and I put a bullet in your husband." As Vanessa worked on my phone, I noticed something odd. Rachel's hand occasionally twitched, and a faint red rash crept up her neck. "Side effects," I guessed aloud. "You've been testing it on yourself, haven't you?" Rachel's eye twitched. "The benefits outweigh minor complications. Like what happened to Elaine's brother." I pressed. "Or the trial subjects who died. Necessary sacrifices," she snapped. "The technology is almost perfected." While Rachel was distracted, Vanessa had positioned herself between us, seemingly still working on the phone. Without warning, she suddenly lunged backward, ramming the chair into Rachel's legs. The gun discharged, the bullet hitting a metal cabinet as I tackled Rachel to the ground. We struggled for the weapon, but Rachel was unnaturally strong. Another side effect, presumably. She flipped me over, fingers closing around my throat with crushing pressure. Suddenly, a shot rang out, and Rachel's grip went slack. She collapsed beside me, blood spreading across her shoulder. Vanessa stood over us, holding my dropped pistol with surprisingly steady hands. "We need to go," she said calmly. "The rest of her team will be here any minute." As we fled toward the exit, an explosion rocked the facility. Elaine had apparently decided to create a diversion. "Can I trust you?" I asked Vanessa as we ran. "You haven't been able to trust me for months," she admitted. "But right now, I'm all you've got." Elaine's car screeched to a halt outside an abandoned boathouse. My ears still rang from the explosion at the cargo facility. "Rachel's people will find us soon," Elaine warned, unloading supplies. "So, she was running the show all along?" I asked. Vanessa nodded. "Daniel was just the face. I was vulnerable when they approached me. Our marriage was struggling," she admitted. "You were distant, and Daniel was attentive. The truth hurt, but I couldn't deny it." Vanessa unlocked the encrypted files on my phone. "The real breakthrough isn't regeneration. The nanoparticles can enhance specific neural pathways, creating fearless soldiers or perfect spies. But the side effects are catastrophic. Neural collapse, psychosis, organ failure." "Rachel doesn't care," she continued. "She's already showing symptoms but thinks she can perfect it." A plan formed in my mind. "We need to expose this publicly." "The medical research conference tomorrow," Vanessa suggested. "Every major pharmaceutical company will be there." "Too risky," Elaine objected. "Which is why you'll take the files there," I countered, while Vanessa and I create a distraction they can't ignore. "What kind of distraction?" Elaine asked. I smiled grimly. "The kind that makes the evening news. How do you feel about crashing a secret military contractor meeting?" 6 months later, I stood on our new deck overlooking the Montana mountains. The newspaper on the table featured a small headline: "Former pharma exec pleads guilty in human testing scandal." Meridian Pharmaceuticals had imploded after our evidence went public. Project Lazarus was shut down, and military contracts were canceled when the horrific side effects came to light. Vanessa joined me, coffee in hand. We'd both changed, her hair shorter, my face more lined. The Witness Protection Program had given us new identities, a fresh start away from the spotlight. Any regrets? She asked. I considered the question. Elaine had died getting the data to the conference. Rachel's final act before her own neural collapse. Daniel was serving 20 years. And our marriage? We were rebuilding, day by day. I regret not seeing what was happening, I said finally. With you. She squeezed my hand. We got a second chance. Not many do. My phone buzzed. A message from our handler warning of unusual activity near our location. Some of Rachel's military connections were still hunting for the complete formula, despite the scandal. Should we run again? Vanessa asked. I shook my head. No more running. Whatever comes next, we face it together. The truth had cost us everything we knew. But standing there, I realized it had also given us something invaluable. Each other, without secrets between us.